Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
that mother called Kaiki, whatever, you know the story, Suman Mantra. So anyway, so fast forward, you know the story? How Lord Ram reached the forest? Yes. Yeah, right. Oh, be confident. Yeah. Because even if you say no, I wouldn't know. But yes, confident. I wouldn't tell you. So yes, so they found themselves in the forest. The forest name was Dandakaranya. Okay. So in Dandakaranya, they were living peacefully. And suddenly one day, there was a very, very, very beautiful woman who showed up. And she had a very super name. You know what her name was? Shurpanaka. And Shurpanaka came, and the reason she came there is because someone had told her about Ram, that he was very handsome. And all his features were described, that he is very tall, very broad shoulders, long arms, charming face, perfectly symmetrical eyebrows, beautiful smile, big eyes that are reddish tinged, etc. Curly black hair. So I will go see him, find out his phone number. So she reached his house. And when she saw Ram, she proposed that I think I'm very I'm fitting enough to be your wife. So please accept me as your wife. Ram said, I'm happy with one wife. Although as a Kshatriya I could take more than one, but in this particular life I've decided only one wife, and this is Sita. She is my wife. But I have an idea for you. My brother Lakshman, he's living in the forest. He has no wife. Poor fellow, he's all alone. You can ask him if he wants, if you can be his wife. So she went to Lakshman and she said, if not Ram, I'm going to settle for you. You're also not so bad, good looking. Itna kharab nahi. Lakshmana told her, I don't mind if you want to marry me, but there's a difference. If you marry Ram, you'll be the queen. If you marry me, you'll be the maid servant. Because I am Ram's servant. Although he is my brother, I treat myself as his servant. When he is whole day, when he is walking through the forest, I walk ahead as a warrior, as a protection. And at night when he is lying down and sleeping, I stand guard. I don't sleep at all. If you are my wife, you also have to live like this. There's no fun. I think you should go back to Ram and ask him again. So she went back to Ram and said, Lakshman said no. So I think you should accept me. Ram said, he's just acting like that. Go back and ask him again. So like this they sent her back and forth. They were having a little fun in the forest because neither was interested. So Shurpanaka lost her patience and she showed her real beauty. She transformed herself into her original self, which is this hideous Rakshasi, demon-looking, witch-like person. And she said to Ram, if you don't accept me, because you want only one wife, and the Sita is there, but if I kill her, then I can be the only wife. And she was about to pounce on Sita Devi. So Lakshman took out his dagger or sword and chopped off her ears and chopped off her nose. That is how the place in nowadays is called Nashik. because her nose was cut off in that place. So she was crying in pain and she went back to meet her brother. Okay. So she took a plane from Mumbai and landed in Sri Lanka. From that time the cricket teams have been fighting each other. Landed in Sri Lanka. And she cried in front of her brother. And Ravana said, what happened? Who did this to you? So she knew that her brother had a weakness. Did we talk last week? What was his weakness?
Pretty ladies.
Pretty ladies. Yeah, his weakness was pretty ladies. So to incite his anger, she didn't say necessarily that Ram did it. You know how she described it to Ravana? She said, oh Ravan, I was traveling in the forest of Dandaka and I heard about a very, very drop-dead gorgeous lady called Sita, and I wanted her to be your wife. But this Ram and Lakshman, they are the impediments there. So Ravana never saw Sita, but just from hearing about her beauty, he became maddened with lust. Like a he-elephant. You know how a he-elephant is captured? Believe it or not, this is how. The he-elephants in the wild, for them to be captured and then tamed into becoming domestic animals, what they do is they bring a she-elephant. It's the story everywhere, you know. It's the same story. They bring a she-elephant and make her rub her skin against his. That's apparently for the he-elephant. The she-elephant's skin is like most intoxicating. Fellow's called pachyderm, yeah, thick skin. But still that little rub she gives is like sends him really, and he follows her. So they'll take her ahead, she leads him and he follows. And that touch is so addictive that he wants more of it, that he follows her blindly. And there is a nice big ditch covered with grass, and they lead the she-elephant and she leads him, and he runs right into the ditch and he falls down there. Then they starve him and he says, "Pyar ke liye kuch bhi karega. I'll do anything for love." They starve him. Finally, when he is weak, that's when they pull him out and they tie him. First they tie him with his leg tied to a rope to a tree, a strong tree. So for many days he tries, but he is not fed well. So he is weak, so he can't break that rope. He tries, every day he tries. Finally he gives up because he can't break it. Then they feed him well. And because he is fed well, he knows he has lots of strength, but he is not so intelligent in that sense that he doesn't try again. Because he has tried a lot, it has failed. So then they take it from the tree and put a small peg in the ground, and the fellow just stands there without moving anywhere. Because he becomes conditioned. So we are all creatures of conditioning. Certain habits we pick up, and then we become conditioned, sometimes even enslaved by those habits. Because the nature around us is very conditioning. Air conditioning, as we say, right? It's the same air. So we become conditioned to certain habits and behaviors and weaknesses. So Ravana's weakness was conditioned to lust, pretty ladies, as Aindula said. So when Surpanaka said, "Oh, Sita Devi," he immediately took his chariot, flew there to go see where Sita Devi is. But she had warned him, "Oh, these two brothers, They're very, very dangerous. So then he planned that he needs what's called a decoy, distraction. Because without a decoy or distraction, you can't, in any warfare, common strategy is distraction. Right? You have to distract and then. So he said, I need some distraction. So he called his uncle. His name was Maricha. And Maricha had once tasted Lord Ram's fighting spirit previously when Vishwamitra had first invited Ram and Lakshman to a place called Janasthan. And because these guys were troubling all the sages while they were doing their Vedic yagyas. And at that time, Ram had killed Subahu and shot Maricha into the ocean by his arrow. But he called Maricha back and he said, I have an assignment for you. Mamaji, the assignment is that you should become this very enticing, illusory deer that has golden spots on it. And you should somehow attract Sita's mind. Then Ram will follow you, Lakshman will follow you, Sita will be alone, I'll kidnap her. Maricha told him, you're fool number one. By your plan, you will die, you will get me also killed. Ravan said, you have only two choices. Either you agree to my plan or I kill you. What choice would you like? So Maricha said, let me see. If I follow your plan, Ram will kill me. If I don't follow your plan, you will kill me. I'd rather die in Ram's hands. There is more benefit there. Which is true. Anyone who's killed by the hands of the Lord, they get mukti. They said, I'd rather die there. I'd rather die. So they agreed to this plan. And Maricha became this golden spotted deer and was wandering in the forest and came to the spot where Ram and Sita were. So the scene is this. Ram and Sita are seated on a very wonderful bench or rock or whatever. And they are enjoying the scenery around them. Chirping birds, beautiful butterflies, green, very, very nice, beautiful flowers, very, not very hot, not very cold, nice fragrances in the air. And at that time, a little distance away, this particular deer comes with its golden spots shining. And Sita Devi, she says, I would like to have that deer. So our acharyas, they raise a very poignant question. If you remember, those of us who were here last week, we discussed the meaning of the name Ram. Anyone remember? Source of happiness. Ram means the source of all happiness and pleasure. So if the source of all happiness and pleasure is sitting right next to you, why would Sita even consider that by having the deer she will be happy? It's a very important question. This is the source of all pleasure and happiness. Right there, Lord Ram sitting next to you. Then why would Sita Devi have any attraction to the deer? So then our acharyas explain that for the moment, let's put aside the fact that Lord Ram is God and Sita Devi is his internal potency or Shakti, and take a lesson from it. The lesson is that Sita, for the sake of this discussion, is like any one of us. And Lord Ram is the object of all love and affection, but something out there seems attractive, glittering. And that glittering thing in Sanskrit is called Maya. Maya is not just the name of a girl, but Maya in Sanskrit is by two words, Ma and Ya. Ya means that which, not which like W-I-T-C-H, not that which. That W-H-I-C-H, which. And Ma means not. So it means that which is not. So Maya means illusory, or it looks but it is not. And Rama is the source of all pleasure. And Sita is like any one of us as a conditioned soul. So in this world, each one of us has access to Ram, sitting right next to us. How does each one of us have access to Ram? By calling the name, because we discussed last week. We're talking everyone's names. That name and the named are non-different in this case. In any one of our cases, our name and who we are not the same. So if, for the sake of those who were not here last week, if I'm thirsty and I say water, 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 I get more thirsty. Just by saying water, my thirst is not satisfied because the sound water and the object water are not the same. We were joking that there can be a person by the name Lakshmipati, but he can be a beggar on the street. Name and named are not the same. But in the spiritual sound or in the spiritual realm, the name and the named are same. When we say Rama, which means by that sound, we are in the presence of Ram. The sound itself is the personality. So, that which is not, but Sita was attracted to. And then the story continues, and I'll come back to this because it's relevant to us. That when Sita said, "Oh, I want that deer," immediately Lord Ram said, "That's not real. That is so extraordinarily beautiful, it's not real, because no deer is like this. No, I want to have it." He said, "I don't think it's a good idea." "No, I want to have it." जो बीवी से सचमुच करे प्यार कैसे करे इनका? They had to fulfill her desire. And as he went after that deer, the deer receded further into the forest, and as we know, he went in and ran somewhere, and after some time he called out Lakshmana's name, and Lakshmana said, Sita said, "Oh, your brother is in difficulty." And Lakshmana said, "Not possible. Lord Ram cannot be in any difficulty. This is the deer, some Rakshasa. No, you must go." She even accuses him that you have ulterior motives. You were waiting for your brother to go away, etc., etc. And she sends Lakshmana. Right? And as soon as Lakshmana goes, Ravana enters the scene. And we did this Ramayana drama, not last year.
Yeah.
Same scene we did?
Yeah.
Okay. You were Ravana?
I didn't have the skills to be Ravana.
What were you? Who were you?
I was like double role, right? I forgot.
Who was Ravana?
He's not here.
He was the director.
Oh.
Valmiki.
Oh, it's Valmiki. So, Ravana entered. Okay. And he kidnapped Sita. So our teachers, our acharyas explain that this is true for all of us in this way. that we are all parts and parcels of Lord Ram. Because in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Mamaiva Amsha Jiva Loke. Jiva Bhuta Sanatana. Mamaiva Amsha. That every living being is a part of me. Just as we are all parts of our parents, Amshas. So like that, every living entity is part of the Supreme Spirit, a tiny part. And we have access to Ram, all source of all pleasure. But our attention is on something illusory. Maya, that which is not. So that which is not actually pervades pretty much anything and everything we do, in one sense. Like this. Our attraction to someone else's body. A beautiful man or a beautiful woman. Actually that is illusory. It is illusory in this sense. If you peel the skin, all beauty is gone. It is flesh, bones, mucus, stool and urine packed, nice skin on it. Right? It's true. And it has bad smell, so we have perfume and we cover it. But actually behind the skin, there is no beauty. But it's packaged nicely. That's the illusion. That which is not. Something that is so raw, in one sense, is covered nicely. Another thing is that body which is so attractive. It is attractive as long as the Atma is in this, the living being is in that body. As soon as that Atma leaves, even if the person is very lovable, we have to bury them or burn them or get rid of that body. We cannot say, I love this person so much, but I'll keep the body. They'll think you're cuckoo. Because it starts decaying. So this body is what most people are attracted to. Without the awareness that it is actually the soul that is giving the beauty. Atma. So Maya also means going for the superficial, like the body is external, is superficial, or the skin, we don't see the real behind, right? Or anything superficial is part of being led by Maya. Or as we say, people who think that happiness is in something outside of us, ourselves. And we may all agree, but that is how we are living. All this story sounds wonderful. 15 minutes later, it's Maya we're running after. Because it hasn't entered our awareness to such a degree that it matters. If we see we're so living in the externalities of things, that happiness is something outside of ourselves, which is not true though. And we assign value to certain things, that those who have money must be happy. That's our conception. But if you notice, anyone who's rich is not necessarily happy. They think they are. Some people are. There's one person who was told, money cannot buy you happiness. And he said, yeah, that's true, but I'd rather die rich. But there is an idea. And money is important. It's not like it's not important at all. It has certain value. But the Maya is that it is given a value far beyond its reality. Or the sense of nationality. I belong to this country. That is also Maya. Because Atma doesn't belong to this country or that country. It doesn't matter, you peel the skin of a Caucasian person, you peel the skin of an African American or Chinese, whoever. Beyond the skin, it's really not that different. Some structural difference may be there. But it's really not different. But we see it. My country. I had a classmate in graduate school. He was from Pakistan. Azad Samsi. He and I we became best of friends. We'd do our assignments together, we'd go out together, we'd go to the bar together, whatever. The only day that we did not talk to each other was when India was playing Pakistan. We told each other. Dosti sab baat hai. You know. But that was it, because I used to think I belong to this country, they belong. It's not like that. If Prabhupada would say, in this life I belong to this country, previous life, who knows? I have no idea. So this idea, I belong, and my sense of nationality grows up because someone said. And also in that, once I feel I'm Indian, so as soon as I say South Indian, special connection. And among South Indian, if he's from Andhra, like even better. What to speak is from Hyderabad. We find this little sort of connections. And as we were joking the other day, our definition of North Indian, South Indian is anything north of Chennai is North Indian. Anything south of Delhi is South Indian. But we are so driven by externalities. And then we see, oh, human beings, animals are like this, so I can kill them, eat them, whatever I can do for my pleasure. But they're all living beings, we're parts and parcels of Ram. So as soon as Sita's attention went from Ram to the deer, all her problems began. Of course, Sita Devi is the Shakti of the Lord, you understand, but from us, for us, there is a key lesson that as long as our attention is away from Rama, we will be kidnapped. And kidnapped by who? Ravan. Ravan is the personification of lust. So we were discussing last week. When our attention is on the Lord, then we are driven by love. And when the attention shifts, we are taken by lust. We were discussing last week that lust is not just it's like sexual connotation. Lust means the thirst for enjoying the senses. So we have 5 senses and no common sense. We have 5 senses in common but no common sense. So 5 senses that we have are the eyes, the nose, tongue, ears and skin. So it's described that in creation, certain entities are they give us lessons how these senses are very active. So tongue, it's the sense for taste. I had a friend who, you'll be wondering what kind of friends I had in college, but this guy, he was the type who, we asked him, hey, what will you eat? He said, I eat seafood. So, no, really? He said, yeah, whatever I see, I eat. The tongue is such. And when you used to feed him, his name was Ramesh. So satisfied, he said, tongue is saying yes, stomach is saying no. But that's too far to hear. So we will go. The tongue is always craving for something tasty and will do anything for that craving. So the example is given of a fish. When you put a little worm to a hook and put it in water, the fish looks at it. What does the fish see? Worm. Does he see the hook? Why not? It's death calling him, but he sees only the worm. Somehow he can't see the hook. He goes running, swimming fast, opens his mouth, and catches the worm. As soon as he gets the worm, the hook goes through his palate. He's reeled out, put on a, what is that thing called, grill, finished. Right? That taste for the worm is so intense that he cannot see the hook. That's the nature of lust, that it blinds us to the consequences. That is why people who are driven by lust, they don't care for consequence. Jo hoga dekha jayega. But that's how the tongue drives the person, the fish. Then the ears is for the deer. In the olden days, they would hunt the deer fast. You can't shoot a moving target. So what the hunter would do is to play some music, some flute or some organ like that. And the deer would stand, as they say in America, with the deer. What's the saying? Deer's the headlights? Yeah, when you drive on the highway and your headlights are on and the deer looks at the headlight, the deer just stands like this. So the sound is such that the deer locks its ears like that and stands still. Perfect target. Even now, modern hunters, when they are following what's called a buck, a male deer with nice antlers, he will make certain sounds. So the deer, wherever he is, will walk out and come and stand like this, ready for a super target for him. So the ears are the way the deer dies. Then the sense of smell. It's said for these are all in the Vedas. Okay, I'm not making it up. So the bumblebee, the smell of honey from flowers is so intoxicating that the bumblebee will fly into this flower, especially a certain type of lotus that at sunset closes. So that when the bee is there taking honey and the flower petals are slowly closing in, the bee thinks, I'm a fast flyer. I can fly fast. Little bit more and then I'll go. One more, uske baad. One more. And bee is thinking little more, the flower shuts and he suffocates and dies. Where I live, there is a house that has a front yard that's about 10 or 12 feet. And there's a gate, and at the front door there is a sign. It said, earlier it used to say, beware of dog. This particular door says, I have a Rottweiler at home, and he can run from the door to the fence in 2 seconds. Can you? That's the sign. My friend used to joke that in the previous ages in India, at the door there used to be a sign, Athithi Devo Bhava. That guest is as good as God. Athithi, and that too not invited guest. Athithi means uninvited guest, unexpected. Athithi. Tithi means a particular time. Athithi means just showing up. No appointment. Athithi Devo Bhava. Then after some time they said that's too much. We only want Shubha Labh. Something auspicious and profitable. Shubha Labh. Then it became beware of dog. Don't even come. Whether Tithi or Atithi, don't come. Beware of dog. So this the beer. That was a Freudian slip, but an appropriate one. The bee. Beer and bee got combined. Anyway, the bee, the attraction for the smell. Okay. Then skin. We already heard about the elephant. What's the one that's left? Example of the firefly or the moth is given. When the moth sees fire, fellow thinks I'm a firefighter or something, flies right into it. And that's how he dies. So for all these different entities, there is one sense that is highly dangerous. But in the human being, all five are active. Highly. Anything like this. So then these senses become, because they are very activated, lust is very intense in the human being. So lust, its simple definition is a very, very selfish, self-centered, I should say affect. Affect means the thing that we feel. Very selfish. It's all about me, what I will get from it. Fayda nahi, no need to do it. I used to call it, our favorite radio station is WIIFM. What's in it for me? That's our favorite. That's lust. And these five senses, they intensify. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna describes that this lust is the human being's worst enemy. And there are two kinds of enemies. One enemy is the one who will tell you, I'm your enemy. Then there is a more dangerous enemy. Who's that? What do you think?
Acts like a friend.
One who says, I'm your friend, but will stab you from the back. More dangerous. That is why in warfare, when they're shooting bombs and bullets at each other, that still they can manage. But the one that weakens the opponent is espionage. It's the spies that weaken everything. If you hear any war story, it's the spies that actually messed up everything for them. Because they will feed wrong information, troops will go somewhere else, they will attack somewhere else. The spies, they were always dangerous. So lust is the spy who whispers in our ear, I'm your friend. Who stabs us. Now what is the stabbing? The stabbing is that it separates us from being close to God, which is our real nature. Because we are conscious living beings. And Lord Ram is also a conscious living being. And we have a very, what we call primordial, spiritual connection, which we have forgotten. Lust makes us forget. Remember? When you see the hook and the worm, it makes you forget everything and just, oh, the worm. It makes us forget that we have a very unique individual relationship with God. And that same love, the happiness, we search here and there. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this lust is the Vairana. It's a Ripu, right? Ripu means, not this guy, the Ripu Daman. Ripu means enemy. And Krishna is a Vairana. Vairana also means enemy. It's the greatest enemy. And he says to Arjuna, this lust is sitting. You want to know. If he's an enemy, you want to know where the enemy is. So Krishna says this enemy is sitting in three places. One is sitting in the senses. Second is sitting in the mind. And third is sitting in the intelligence. So the natural question is how to get rid of the enemy. So Krishna says, Jahi Shatru Mahabaho. Oh Arjuna, Mahabaho is, you have great arms, means you're very strong. Jahi Shatru, you kill this enemy. But how? So Krishna says, Jnana Deepe. By proper knowledge, you'll be able to kill this enemy. By proper knowledge of who Lord Ram is, or Krishna is, and how to connect with them. So then this, at each stage, the enemy needs to be dealt with differently. The senses, how to deal with, you take the senses and you engage them in activities that are not lustful. Meaning pure habits. And for that, to happen, the mind needs to be cleaned, or the enemy needs to be removed. So the lust in the mind, how do we notice? Mind means all our desires, our goals, our aspirations, our thoughts. They are all driven by lust. So then the idea is to transform those desires into what we call spiritual desires. I'll explain more. And intelligence, the lust sitting in the intelligence tells us how to get to something. I want to eat something very wonderful. And intelligence tells, okay, you have to do this, get to that, blah blah. For us, intelligence primarily means our values, because that causes our ability to discern. For example, one of the values that we may hold carefully is, let's say, being truthful. Okay? And if that value is strong for us, then at the moment where we are tested, and it's that line where if you speak the truth, or if you speak not the truth, things happen quickly, we choose this. That means at that moment our intelligence is not functioning, because intelligence has to tell us, no, stay by this value, or stealing, or cheating, or whatever, telling a lie, or whatever it is, exploiting someone. We have these values, or not exploiting someone, we have these values. And how strong those values are tells us how strong our intelligence is. Certain things we will say no. Someone passes us some drugs, it's quick money, all your college tuition you can pay from it, extra cash. We'll say, I'll still work at some place, wash the dish, wash the bathroom, still be in debt, but no thank you. Don't want to get into it. Someone's intelligence may be working, someone's intelligence may not be working. Right? They may say, yeah, okay. And at that moment, it's gone. So, lust, Krishna describes the lust by nature, he says, jnana avritena. It covers knowledge. And as soon as knowledge is covered, then you don't have access to it. It's like a RAM failure. You can't access. Then you have nothing. So, the whole Bhagavad Gita deals with how to carefully move beyond. So, the value system comes from scripture. Therefore, the sages wrote and gave us Bhagavad Gita and the Bhagavatam and all these wonderful literature to sharpen our intelligence. And mind becomes clean by the company we keep. There's a saying, tell me what book you read and I'll tell you who your friend is. So according to our association, our desires transform. If we have friends that tell us higher things, our desires will transform to higher things. It's just actually called association. That's why whenever we did something foolish in our childhood, our parents said, "ये सब तुम्हारे दोस्तों की वजह से." You ever got told like that? I got told about it. All your friends. Your friends are like that.
They didn't know I was the friend.
Huh?
They didn't know I was the friend.
They talked about you in their house. It's all your friends. It's the bad company you're keeping. Tomorrow, don't play with Utkarsh. It's the association. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, this is not a new one, old saying. Sangat sanjayate kama. That sangat, from your association, the circle of people you are with, is born your desire. Sangat sanjayate kama. It's just a aphorism. So what company we are keeping? If we are keeping the company of saintly people, Our desires are saintly. You keep the company of ambitious, lusty people, your ambitions are lusty. You keep company with people who just want to go to sleep, our desires just, hey, who cares about it, just go to sleep. Yeah. So Ravana, although these are actual personalities and the whole Leela has several meanings, one of the things is, where is our attention? If it is attention is away from this very conscious relationship with Ram, then we are vulnerable to be kidnapped by lust. All her problems began only when, oh, I want that deer. Until then there was no problem. She was not living in a palace. That was not a problem. She was not living the high life. Not a problem. As soon as the attention went from Ram to that deer, all problems began. Therefore, it's like that one should, as a human being, one should be conscious as to what are my desires. What is the goal of life? What is the purpose of life? And the purpose is to reunite back with Lord Ram, because that's, we've forgotten it. All problems is because we have been kidnapped by lust. So Ram actually goes searching for Sita. He kills Ravana, that's the Ramayana, and he brings Sita back. Right? So like this for us, because we are all the lost persons, the Lord appears again and again, and He sends His dear devotees as teachers to remind us and to kill that lust in us, so that we can come back to Lord Ram. It's a very wonderful, significant pastime actually. And all the Vanaras, they represent all the great teachers who are uniting us back, because they are on a mission on behalf of Lord Ram. So all the great acharyas, they are all on a mission on behalf of Lord Ram, to educate us, to help us address our lust. Any comments, questions? No? Hungry? No? Not hungry. Any questions? Awake? If something comes up during dinner, we can talk in a more informal way. But thank you for your attention. It was very nice to see all of you again. Nice, no? Interesting Ramayana. So many little wonderful things for us to learn. And this can be spoken hours and hours on end, and still there is something always wonderful in Lord Ram's life. Of course, what to speak of Lord Ram's personal example as being truthful. That at any cost he stood by his word. It's not easy to stand by one's word. Even simple things, I'll come at such and such time and they never show up. Put that. It is not like that. Lord Ram he said something. That's why it said that before you say something, think. And my guru, he taught me a very nice principle. He said, when in doubt, shut up. Before you say something, if you have a doubt whether to say something, just shut up. It's easier that way. Because once you say, you have to live it. And that's not easy. I found that it's very difficult. Very for me it's difficult. So I'm practicing to say and then try to live by it. And I found it's not easy.